Hello my dear friends and family, I'm Operator Starsky and today we're going to talk about something very important. A Ukrainian-led team reportedly sunk a NATO frigate, which happened in a simulated attack with sea drones. In a real battle, that ship would most likely be gone, and this is a very serious signal. This is a warning about the future of naval warfare, and when I say the future, I don't mean like 20 years from now, I mean literally today. Because the sea and the naval combat are changing the old idea that a huge expensive ship automatically controls the sea just because it's huge and expensive. This idea is really getting punched in the face by reality. And Ukraine, of all countries, is one of the states that showed this reality to the whole world. Let's start from the Portugal story, my friends. The Ukrainian-led team beat the blue team in all 5 scenarios, and in one case a frigate took so many simulated hits from drone attacks that it would be counted as sunk. It means that even a NATO ship with NATO crews, NATO sensors and NATO procedures may still have a problem seeing, tracking and stopping low-profile sea drones in time, especially when these drones are used not alone but together with deception, which, by the way, Ukraine has introduced this problem to Russia, and Ukraine was successful in making those painful strikes to the Russian Black Sea Fleet for more than 4 years. For many decades, navies were thinking in a very classic way. They were thinking big ships, big radars, big missiles, and big command structure. Very expensive platforms, very expensive crews, expensive training, and of course very expensive losses. As I already mentioned, Ukraine showed this in the Black Sea, where Ukraine didn't have some giant classic fleet that would be able to challenge the Russian invaders ship for ship. But Ukraine had a mosquito logic. We're talking sea drones, coastal missiles, intelligence, also aviation support, also special operations deception. This Ukrainian strategy step by step has pushed the Russian terrorist Black Sea Fleet back to its ports. It was absolutely damaged and battered, and also the strategy actually changed where the enemy could safely operate. In 2024, Reuters reported Ukrainian sea drones sank a Russian invaders' patrol ship near occupied Crimea, and later that year Reuters also reported a Ukrainian naval drone destroying a helicopter for the very first time. When we talk about sea drones, people still sometimes imagine them like some explodable, remotely controlled boats, like some toys with explosives. No, my dear friends and family, this stage is already behind us. This direction now is basically networking, autonomy, machine assistance, and also swarming. Therefore, the real danger is not one sea drone, my friend. The real danger is 10 or 20 or 10 sea drones plus 10 flying kamikaze drones plus electronic warfare plus 1 anti-ship missile after the ship has already exposed itself and burned through part of its defensive attention. Now let's take a look at Hormuz and what is happening there, because what Iran is doing in this strait also matters very much. As of March 20th, 2026, Reuters says Iranian drone attacks could disrupt the Strait of Hormuz for months. The International Maritime Organization has warned about severe danger to seafarers in this area, with vessel incidents and deaths already reported. So even if we are not talking about every single attacked ship as being sunk to the bottom, this effect is already strategic, because you don't have to sink every ship. You just have to make the sea too dangerous and too expensive to use normally. This is usually enough to cause economic shock, which is another thing many people still miss, because naval warfare is not only about big ships exploding, but also about things like denial, delay, insurance panic, the disruption of roads. So are navies obsolete in 2026? Personally, I don't think so. Aircraft carriers, frigates, destroyers, submarines, the logistics ships, they are not disappearing tomorrow, as we probably all understand. The big ships still carry radar, they carry missiles, helicopters, command centers, and political presence. They still matter. But the old idea of the big ship as the center of everything, sailing around like the main character and expecting everyone else to adapt to it, this idea is becoming obsolete very, very fast. Not the Navy itself, but the vanity of the Navy. That is what is becoming obsolete. The Navy of the future, in my personal opinion, is not a fleet of heroes. It is a fleet system, my friends. We're talking about a network of crewed ships, uncrewed surface vessels, underwater drones, aerial drones, together with coastal sensors, satellites, and a lot of cheap interceptors. The ship should not think that it is the king of the sea. The ship should think that it's a single node in a very aggressive, very complex, and also very alert web. Because if this ship acts like a lonely king of the sea, it may actually become a very expensive coral reef, just like the Russian warship Moscow is currently enjoying the bottom of the Black Sea together with 1/3 of Russia's Black Sea fleet. So, my friends, what does this all mean? This means that NATO has a very, very serious homework. First, detection of drones. The sea drones are very small, they're fast and very nasty, making them extremely dangerous. Detecting those drones in bad weather, clutter, darkness, and also near civilian traffic is not easy. Secondly, cheap interception of those drones, because you cannot keep wasting ultra expensive missiles on cheap attackers forever. The cost equation will kill you even before the drone does. Third lesson is layered defense closer to the ship, not only far away. Also electronic warfare, counter-autonomy, and regular training against realistic drone swarms, not only against, the classic naval threats. And also production, because in a real war, the side that can replace losses and adapt faster may beat the side with prettier brochures and more beautiful movies, like in case of Russia. And this is where Ukraine can actually help NATO a lot, not only from theory, but from its own pain, from the real war. Ukraine learned under fire how to improvise, how to shorten the kill chain, how to combine sea and air drones, and also how to think asymmetrically, how to turn limited resources into very unpleasant surprises for the enemy. And this combat knowledge and experience that Ukraine currently has was paid for with blood, not conference coffee. And NATO should study it very, very carefully, without arrogance, without bragging that they have the most biggest, the most expensive ships in the world, because it doesn't make much sense in 2026. The most important lesson is that NATO should change the doctrine where the big ship is blind, lonely, and too expensive to protect. A frigate should sail with screens of drones. A convoy should have unmanned scouts. In 2026, we should think less about ceremonies, less about the fantasy that because your ship costs $1 billion, the enemy will respectfully attack you in a convenient and doctrinally approved ways. No, my friends. The enemy will come low, cheap, dirty, and in big numbers. And if NATO doesn't fully adapt to that, then one day some admiral might discover modern war the hard way. So, my dear friends and family, what happened in Portugal actually matters a lot, because if Ukrainian team managed to sink a NATO frigate in exercises, it's not a failure. This is actually a gift, because in real war, the invoice is much more expensive. And Ukraine's sea drone experience, combined with what we now see in places like the Strait of Hormuz, tells us very clearly that the age of uncontested big ship comfort is unfortunately over, because the sea is now full of cheap teeth. And with that, my dear friends and family, write in the commentaries what you think about this. Are navies become obsolete, or are they just being forced to evolve very quickly, facing the challenges of today? And of course, don't forget to subscribe and share this video, and I'll see you in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, thanks for watching.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.